Welcome, Eric. How's it going there?
It's going good.
Yeah, so thanks for joining me today. So we're going to have a conversation about AI, first of all, but also about your journey into a career with focus on AI, and obviously regarding your company, Simplify as well, which is specialized in AI as we speak. So maybe we can start by hearing a little bit more about yourself.
Yes, thanks for having me here. So my name is Erik Leung. I am the founder and the COO of Simplifai. It's a company that I started with my partner, Bård Mustad, almost 4 years ago now, if we count the days. And I've had a technology background from my time I studied in the US, came back, had many different jobs within software development, functional architecture, product management. And until I took the move to starting my founder's journey.
That's very exciting. So before we dive into your personal journey, can you say a few words about, what is Simplify? What does they do?
Yeah, so Simplify, it's a company that is focusing on using AI to achieve automation. And our main specialty is on the text analysis, how we would be able to have a language engine to understand, interpret, and process the informations that are coming through text-based communication, such as chat, email, documents. And we extract the information, we classify the information, and we would take the information and do the necessary processing to any of the backend systems, like registrations, archiving, information lookup, reply,
Yeah.
etc. It's very useful in the customer service and support functions.
Makes sense, makes sense. Sounds like those are solutions which can be, applicable to many different industries. But do you guys have any particular industry focus at the moment?
Yeah, like you said, it does applies to many different industries, but we do have a focus on bank and finance, simply because me and a couple of the founders have the background from bank and finance, so we
Yeah.
know the process exceptionally well,
Yeah.
which will help us have the leverage.
Absolutely, absolutely. So talking about your, background in the finance sector, you have been working for quite some years in Every, right? Where you definitely have accumulated a lot of experience in the financial part. So what has motivated you from, making the transition from let's say, a corporate innovator into a entrepreneur?
Yeah, it's actually quite shameful to say the longest job I've had is actually indeed in Every, and I was there at a grand total of 4 years, which was, of course, in Norway, where people tends to get the gold clock after
Yeah.
25 years of service. 4 years is really nothing.
Yeah.
But it's, of course, the ambition has always been there that because I've been to the US, I lived in the Silicon Valley, I do see the founder's journey as being tough, but also very rewarding and inspiring. And for me to work in the largest IT company in Every, now it's actually Tieto Every, that is.
Yeah.
And it does make me feel that I'm trapped in a large organization, which was very difficult to do anything new and innovative. And in order to release the potential of the technology and my dream, I feel like I have to start on my own in order to do that.
So is it a matter of speed or flexibility? What's the main thing that you're, pursuing?
If I would like to draw the analogy of a race, a car race, the people who are in the front, they don't really need to go fast as long as they can move around on the track to avoid anybody taking over. And that makes it very difficult for them to focusing on just going fast. Whereas in the position of a startup, someone that would, in order to be in the leading position, they would have to have a laser focus on the market leader and then go as fast as you can, cut as many corners as you can in order to get ahead. And I feel like that way of working suits me much better.
Yeah, so I heard two keywords here, speed and also focus. That definitely
Correct.
matters a lot for you.
Absolutely.
So thinking about, your journey starting Simplify, so, was it a deliberate choice to start a company with a strong focus on AI, or was it just a coincidence?
It was a coincidence that I ended up working with AI for sure, but by the moment that I started founding Simplify, the main focus has been on AI, and the main thought is how to make AI, package it into a product and make it available in the market.
Yeah, so you actually touched upon a little bit on my next question. So, what is the most challenging thing when you build an AI company?
The biggest challenge is, of course, from the perspective of sitting in Norway, which is very far away from the two AI tech giants in the US and China, is that you won't have access to the newest of the technology that are coming from the research lab. So the focus would have to be somewhere down on the value chain where, assuming that the technology is available, how would you package it to solve a local business problem within the Nordic region? That became the main focus, and that's through my time in Every, it has helped me a lot to building that particular skill set.
Mm. Makes sense. Makes sense. So if you think about, because you mentioned you're focusing on applying the technology to create a business value, in the format of different products and solutions. So how much of your innovation from Simplify you would say them as, commercial innovation, and how much you would call them, technological innovation?
It would be a little bit of a mixture of both, to be honest. I mean, if we draw the analogy of Apple, they're not the first one to make the smartphone. They're not the first one to make most of their products. But the thing is, they are doing it better. They're taking the inspirations from someone who have done it before, gather the experience, and make a version that is better. So our specialty is to how to make the tool in order to utilize the AI and make it so easy to use that you don't need to be a data scientist or technologist in order to use it. And so that's how we would differentiate from most of the other players in the market.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. And you did mention that, starting a company in Norway, being one of the smaller countries in the world, there are absolutely, certain factors you have to take into account. I mean, I used to work in Sweden myself, and I know a lot of entrepreneurs in Sweden, when they start a company, they think about global from day one, simply because the Swedish market is not big enough, right, for them. I guess,
Correct.
it's kind of similar in Norway. Or what's your thought on that?
Yes. So doing a startup in a small country has its advantages and disadvantages. The advantages is definitely you will have less competition, and that would of course help the survival at the early stage. But of course, the market size would be quite limited, especially when we're going through the growth phase and the scaling phase. And for that, we do have to focus on the value being something that is more generic than simply applying it to a business problem in the local market. So yes, we do support Norwegian as the first language in the language engine, but quickly the second one we will support is English to make sure that we're able to apply the tool elsewhere as well.
But if you think about that, if you try to make some product which are relatively generic, which you can sort of apply, in different countries and in different industries, what is the competitive advantage for a company that started in Norway? Let's say compared to a similar company started in US or in China. Do you see any clear advantages?
Yes, but they're not exactly explicit. I would say startups that are coming from the larger countries like Italy, China, or US, or Japan, because of the large home market, they don't necessarily think too much about going abroad. So they are less customized into going abroad than what we would have been, because we have been thinking about globally from day one, and
Yep.
do have a development center elsewhere to, as a start, to get a hold of the talents, but also it becomes a very short road should we want to expand.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. And obviously, when you expand into other countries, I suppose, the role of partnership have been significant. So maybe can you elaborate a little bit more on how Simplify has been leveraging different type of partnerships to grow and scale internationally?
Yep. There are 200 plus countries in the world as of today, and each one of them is doing business a different way, culture, language, etc. So that for us to starting to expand organically, it's close to impossible. So partnership has been one of the earlier topics, especially since through our dialogue with Microsoft, we have had many ideas being suggested to us to leverage on their partner network. And through them, we have indirectly coming into contact with several companies who are specialized on that. So through them, we locate other partners that would be relevant for us to sell our products through them in the specific regions which we normally wouldn't have prioritized expanding into. And so far, it has been a very successful journey together with Microsoft and middlemans, so that now we do have partners in UK, in Middle East that we normally wouldn't have expanded into at this moment.
Exciting. So, I mean, recently there has been news that about the acquisition of, Simplify by Elop. So, I mean, can you say a few words about, what's the next big thing for both you as a person and also Simplify as a company?
Yes. So after we have been acquired with the Elop, of course, on the outset, it seems like we're two companies in two different industries, and there wasn't much synergies. But after sitting down with the management and seeing how their product strategies, there are actually quite a lot that we can draw on the leverage on each other. And as a start, of course, I will be responsible for developing their software products using the experience that I've gotten from Every before, or even in my time in Simplify. And then we will be able to go to different industries together based on our strength, and in order to also leverage on the sales network that we have already built through Simplify. So it's quite an exciting journey, and we're looking forward to the next big thing.
Yeah, really cool, really cool. So I think, when you start to really ingest the intelligence that you have built, from a Simplify point of view, and also in the future into the broad portfolio that Elop offer as a company, I think the impact you are making in the industry will be even more significant for sure.
Yes, and it is also another validation of testing our own skill set. Now, being through with Simplify, starting from zero and build up the company the way it is, there might be a luck factor, there might be something we've done correctly. And through the whole process again with Elop, to start building the products again from the software from zero, it is also another way for us to validate and fine tune our strategy and our skill set, which would then be much more valuable when we go out and do other things also maybe in the far future.
Interesting. So if there's something that you could have done differently when you started the company, Simplify, of course, I'm talking about, what would that be?
Yes, I, like many other founders who are technology based, someone who knows the technology and wants to do a startup, the common mistake is that they focus a lot on the technology and building the product before talking about it and selling it. And that was the same for us. For us, marketing and sales has been something that came along rather late into the process. And if I were to do something again, or if I would have given advice to founders, I would say start with sales and marketing. Get the market interest, sell something before building it. That would have been, of course, it's all summarized in the Lean Startup by Erik Leung, but there's a lot of truth in it.
Yeah, but that sounds like actually a little bit opposite to a common saying that a good product does not need any marketing. So what's your comment on that one?
Yes, there are, of course, that a good product may not need marketing, but marketing definitely would help. I mean, the Chinese idiom, there's a way of saying it that even if the wine smells good, you still worry that the street is very deep and people won't be able to smell it.
Yeah.
So there are the need of somebody advocating and being the evangelist for the product and technology to drive the market interest.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the business perspective, there are hundreds of IT projects ongoing at any given point of time. And how would they prioritize your field of product versus others? It requires a lot of advocating and selling.
Yeah, absolutely. I think how you go to market definitely matters a lot, especially when you're selling enterprise products, right? Because it's not about word of mouth, right? And consumers talking about that, telling each other. It's a lot about how you engage with your stakeholders in the customer organization, pre-sales, during sales, after sales, etc. So definitely very valid point there.
Yes.
So if you want the audience, just take one thing away from the conversation today, what would you like that to be?
One thing is very difficult. There are a couple at the very least, and number one is definitely back to the point about the marketing and the sales. Do start with that. Second is to be brave, and there's a higher chance of succeeding in doing a startup than what people usually perceive. It's difficult at the beginning, but once the ball gets rolling, it gets much easier from there.
Yeah,
Yes.
All right. Thanks a lot for sharing your journey and your insights today with us. And I wish the best of luck for you and Simplify and Elop going forward. And I look forward to having another conversation soon again.
Thank you for having me, and definitely thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.